angels waging war in the unseen realm. Global events fulfilling biblical prophecy. Eternal life. What lies beyond mortality? From analyzing the paranormal from a biblical worldview to the discussion of cutting-edge science and technology, conspiracy, discovery, special investigative reports. Unafraid to explore the challenging issues facing humanity. Welcome to another edition of SkyWatchTV.
In today's America, we've grown so accustomed to our creature comforts that if things should break down, most of us wouldn't know what to do. Welcome to Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. Today we're going to talk about a film that's going to jolt you out of your comfort zone. Producer and director is here. The movie is called AmeriGEDDON. Watch this.
The reason I'm here today is to encourage the U.S. Congress to take action to protect our country from its most imminent threat. Electricity would cease, the internet would go down, and the banking system.
The smokescreen of national security used by government at every level.
A strong America is the only thing standing in the way. Country only needs a little chaos.
We have a fog that has descended on our entire nation.
Hello, Mr. President. Now is the time.
The average American family only has 3 days of food.
We need to talk face to face. This is important.
Sir, what's the mission? Disarm the population and restore order.
Do you have any weapons inside your home or on your person?
You had to give the president power to arrest any American by simply accusing them of terrorism.
The vanity of nationalism will quickly fade. These are but the birth pangs of a new world order.
I'm just so afraid of the world that you're going to have to grow up in.
This is a time, man, woman, young or old, when folks run and hide, or they pull up their bootstraps and they fight.
When you sell your soul, it's a one-time thing. There's no going back.
Now, if that doesn't make you realize that you are quite perhaps unprepared for things that might happen in the very near future, then the trailer has done its job. Our guest today, the producer, the writer, and one of the stars of the film AmeriGEDDON, we're honored to welcome Gary Heavin to the program. Gary, it's good to meet you.
Thank you, Derek.
This is, well, let's start a little bit with what led to the film, which will be released on May 13th to theaters. You aren't born into a Hollywood family. What is your background? What led you from where you started to where you are today?
Well, most people know me as the founder and CEO of Curves, the world's largest fitness franchise. Mm-hmm. And I sold my company a few years ago. And our company was successful because we based our decisions on Judeo-Christian values. And I took a lot of heat for that over my career because, you know, you're not supposed to talk about Jesus in the boardroom. Mm-hmm. But when I finished that time of my life, I went into prayer for a year and asked the Lord what it was that He wanted me to do with my experiences, my resources, and suddenly my time. And we have a Haitian ministry where we feed 10,000 children today, and that's been going on since the earthquake. But I really felt like I was called to do something that combined a lot of my talent and experiences. And it came down to making movies that make a difference. You know, you can teach people if you entertain them. Mm-hmm. And movies were a great way to do that. So we made a first Christian movie called Missionaire. It's available on Netflix. And I found out that not only could I produce and write a script, but I was a pretty good actor. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a natural thing for me. And so about a year and a half ago, I began to research what is the greatest threat to America. And this is based on 2 congressional studies. And it's called an electromagnetic pulse, or an EMP. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing because in the news, every week right now, We're reading about North Korea launching a satellite. That was on February 7th. We're reading about them miniaturizing nuclear weapons and doing underground nuclear testing. And so an EMP on top of a satellite that crosses the U.S., by the way, 3 times a day right now, very likely is armed with a small nuclear device. And the way an EMP works is if they detonate that nuclear device above our atmosphere, it sends out gamma rays or an electromagnetic pulse that destroys all electronics. Now, what does that mean?
Well, no internet, no cell phone,
no water,
no
banking system. And we live in a just-in-time delivery society. And so no groceries. And if you think about it, if you were the North Koreans and you wanted to punish, the great Satan, that would be the practical way to do it. And I had the opportunity to create a movie that would teach people what they need to know that is threatening their very lives, and also how to prepare for it. And so AmeriGEDDON, which comes out, by the way, you mentioned May 13th in theaters across America, is an important movie. Not only is it fun to watch, I say fun to watch when it's a disaster movie, but it is entertaining.
Compelling, yeah.
And it shows people the threat that exists. I'll tell you, it shows something else too. There's a power in this country, a shadow government, if you will, that are pursuing a new world order. And Kissinger said that in order for a strong America is the only thing standing in the way of a new world order. So there are people that are creating chaos in this country so that they can acquire power in providing the solution. So I really tell the whole story. In fact, Hollywood has pretty much banned the movie because I'm a truth teller.
The risk to people of this EMP and losing the electrical grid, losing communications, transportation, and so forth. Over the last 100 years, America has grown increasingly urban. Even as late as World War II, about 40% of the American public lived in rural areas, and like 20% of the country was involved in farming. Now the number of people who actually produce food is something like 2% of the population, and most of us are crowded into New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and so forth. How is that going to affect the people in the cities? Let's look at that, the big urban centers. How quickly will things break down if and when an EMP hits?
They've studied this, and they've determined that you've got about 3 days in a major city. For example, the average American family has 3 days of food. And of course, your refrigerator is not going to work. So whatever you have in storage there is not going to last. So, we're probably 3 days away from absolute chaos. I'm fortunate, blessed enough to live on a farm in the country. As an old Boy Scout, the least someone can do to prepare is to have food and water and fuel on hand and money. Because remember, your bank is not going to be functioning. And so just basic preparation is just smart. Under any circumstance, if you live in a hurricane area or an earthquake area, that's just what you should do. In the movie, we show how to prepare and what that preparation can mean to survival. I'll tell you what, I've got 4 kids and 4 grandkids, and I am very mindful of being able to provide for their needs under any circumstances. So I encourage people to prepare just in case. It isn't that expensive to store up food that'll last and to have drinkable water. In fact, on my ranch, we have cisterns now that accumulate rainwater, and it's a very low-cost way to have drinking water in case of an emergency.
One of the things that's we've noticed a trend here in recent years is the government wanting to exercise control even over the rainwater that falls onto your property, where some people are being penalized for trying to collect the rainwater into rain barrels or cisterns and so forth. Why is the government pushing people to try to take away that ability to provide for ourselves?
It's kind of an underlying theme of my movie to to demonstrate how the government is not here to help us. You know, there is a movement. It's been around a long time to acquire power, and to acquire power, you have to create dependency. And so they don't want us to be self-sufficient. They don't want us to prepare. They want us to be serfs who are doing the labor to enrich their lives. You know, this transfer of wealth in our country that's happened over the last 10 years, which is immoral, illegal. You know, bailing out the bankers who took the risk is insane. But the American people tend to be so passive. You know, it's interesting. We're in a time right now where people are waking up. You know, this Trump phenomenon, where it's really about people realizing that our country's been stolen.
Yeah.
And you have somebody like Donald Trump, who's kind of a mess, right?
Yeah.
But he's his own mess. You know, he is too rich to be bought, and he's too brave to be scared.
Right, right.
And whatever you say about him, and I'm not really a Trump supporter, but he is leading a movement where people are waking up and they want their country back. Even Bernie Sanders is anti-establishment in a lot of ways, and people are waking up looking for somebody to take the country back. And you know, as a Christian, of course, it's all about Jesus and knowing that He's ultimately in control. That, you know, God is going to determine the outcome of this thing, and we're called to be obedient and to listen and to go to battle as required. But this political movement where people are waking up is a very exciting thing. I'd pretty much kind of given up on Americans, you know, the sheeple. But I'm getting a little more excited now. They are realizing that their country's been stolen and they want it back.
Well, as we discuss this issue, you may find yourself getting a bit depressed or not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But the good news is that there is hope and there are ways to prepare for what's coming. We'll talk about that as we continue our discussion with Gary Heavin, producer and writer of the film AmeriGEDDON, next on SkyWatch TV. Most American families are just 72 hours away from disaster. Here at SkyWatch TV, we hope we can help avoid that.
I have been given permission to tell about this massive deal. There's one packet where you get one of each of these, breakfast and entree buckets, and again, 25 years shelf life. With that, you will get 15 of these Wise Fire packets. You'll get one of this water bottle. It will filter 99.9% of the impurities out of your water. Also, you will get for free this awesome auto kit.
Now, there's another package.
There are two more packages. The second package, you get 3 of each bucket. You pay for those, and you get the auto kit free, you get the Wise Fire free, and you get 2 of these bottles. There's a third deal. You won't believe this one. You get 6 of each of these. You get the auto kit free, you get the Wise Fire free, you get 2 bottles. Guess what else? You get the Mac Daddy.
Ooh.
50-gallon water storage container. If the electric grid goes down, one of these is going to come very handy.
3 packages for preparedness, one that feeds a family of 6 for a month, one that feeds a family of 6 for 3 months, and one that feeds a family of 6 for half a year, and of course that includes the 50-gallon water tank. You'll find all of those deals online, the Wise Food Preparedness Specials at SkyWatchTVstore.com. AmeriGEDDON, the movie, opens May 13th in theaters. Gary Heavin is the writer and producer, also one of the stars of the film. And the good news, I think, for Christians in that in all things, regardless of how dark the circumstances, there is a light. So when you approached writing the film AmeriGEDDON, what message of hope or what hope did you see that viewers of the film can take away?
I believe that as dark as the times may become, that God has provided a sanctuary for those of us who love Him. I live in Texas, and I've had the privilege of advising our governor, who is a godly man. He's done a lot of things. You know, when Jade Helm was rolling across our country,
right,
as a governor, he ordered the Texas National Guard to monitor Jade Helm. As Attorney General in Texas, he sued the federal government 32 times for overreach. So we're in a really neat place. You know, I can't say that I spiritually know this. I don't want to make that bold of a statement, but I do sense that Texas may be a sanctuary, a place for people to go to be protected from an out of control federal government. You know, there's this strategy, Cloward Piven's, the Hegelian dialectic, which says create chaos, and that allows you to have an opportunity to acquire power as you provide the solutions to the chaos. Open borders, or the Syrian refugees. Right. You know, the FBI says that, hey, we can't vet these Syrians. You know, it's impossible. They come across with forged paperwork or no paperwork. So why would a thinking person just open our doors when up to 10% of them are radicalized? Right. And they're going to bring in 180,000. They brought in 180,000 already, and they're talking about 100,000. That's 10,000 potential terrorists to come in and create another Paris or San Bernardino. Doesn't make any sense. And American people need to think about this. Why would our government open our borders to potential terrorists? It doesn't make any sense. No. So you ask the question, cui bono, who benefits? Right. And the people that benefit are the ones that are in a position to acquire power as a result of the chaos. You know, this EMP attack that can come from a North Korean satellite, can come from other sources as well. Would the people in power, the true people in power in our country, allow this to happen? Well, it fits with what we call the Hegelian dialectic, which is it's ultimate chaos, and it allows them to have ultimate power. You know, when they declare martial law, like they've done in France, by the way, our Constitution is suspended. Our due process is suspended. The government acquires control under the Executive Order 13603, for example. It's already been written and is sitting there waiting for an emergency. The government acquires control of all resources, all food, all fuel, even you. They can draft you into civilian workforce without pay. And that's a quote, which means that you become a slave to your country. They're going to bring back slavery according to Executive Order 13603. And I'm not making this up. This is all public record. You can Google this and learn it. And people need to learn about this. They need to inform themselves. And the other thing we need to do is we really need to think well. We need to think clearly, and we need to think critically. And that is a personal responsibility. And as a Christian, I believe God requires that of us. And it's all there, it's obvious, and thank God for the media and what you guys do, because we wouldn't get the information. And the reason is that 95% of mainstream media is bought and paid for by these moneyed interests.
That's right, sure. Yeah, they don't benefit by rocking the boat, that's for sure. So the end game then of allowing something like this to happen, to allow total chaos in the country, is to consolidate total power in the hands of just a few?
You said it very, very well. Yeah, and that's a game that's been going on.
So is that an end unto itself, or is there an end? Is there something that they would plan to do with that complete control?
You know, there's been a movement for a one world government for a long time. You know, it sounds conspiratorial, but it's so open right now. They are talking about it openly. They want to create a one world government. Sure. A one world economy. You know, George H.W. Bush talked a lot about it. Henry Kissinger's been talking about it. It's pretty much out in the open now. They're not even embarrassed about it. And in order for there to be a one world government, a one world currency economy, America has to diminish. And these people are not nationalists. They're not pro-American. They're pro-world government. And they believe that that's their destiny. And so, as a consequence, they're indebting this country at a limit. It's never been done in history. You know, it's not just the 19 trillion that they talk about servicing the debt on. Okay. You know, you've got in excess of $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities.
Right, public pensions and things like that. Yeah.
Which are commitments that have to be paid. Social Security, federal pensions, Medicare, you name it. And by the way, there is no fund for Medicare and Social Security. It's been spent along with and there's just IOUs in there.
Right.
And I think if the American people would wake up and realize that, they would throw these bums out of office. But they are creating massive debt. If you run the numbers on it, there's about 100 million American families. And let's say there's $100 trillion in debt, which is very conservative. Yeah. It's $1 million a family. Your government, our government, has borrowed $1 million and signed your name on it and my name on it and every other American family. The average American family makes $50,000 a year. Are they ever going to pay back $1 million?
No.
And this is by design. They want us to think it's by incompetence, but it's by design. So they are burying us in debt. They're burying us in extended warfare. They're burying us in GMO foods. And you know, I have a degree in health and nutrition. And the DARK Act amazingly failed in the Senate this week. And for people that don't know what that is, there was a federal law that prevented states from passing laws that forced companies to put on their labels what was in the product and if it was GMO or not, genetically modified organisms. And it was destined to pass. That would keep us from knowing what's in our food that we eat. But by a couple of votes, Rand Paul is one of the few Republicans that stood for the American people and kept that act from being passed. Well,
there are some things that Americans can do, I presume, to prepare and at least protect their family against these dire consequences. What are some of the common sense recommendations you would make to viewers to say, you know, look, we don't need to panic if we're smart? What would you suggest?
Well, the first thing is to quit playing church. It's time to not just have a relationship with Jesus, but to intimately know him, to be able to hear the voice and the guidance and to be about his business. So that's the first thing. And if you're not spiritually where you need to be, nothing else really matters, of course. Secondarily, have a few months of food. And I'm talking about a 50-pound bag of rice, beans, corn meal of some sort. You can go to Sam's and for $500 buy these staples, canned protein, things like that, that you wouldn't thrive, but you would survive during that period of time. And then a source of water, because water systems are not going to work when the electricity doesn't work. And third, you should have enough currency in your possession so that you can pay your bills for a few months. Because when the internet goes down, banks, and they are going to crash the banks. Bail-ins, for example.
Yes.
People need to Google that and look, what does it mean?
Yeah.
And it means that your money in the bank is loaned to the bank. You're an unsecured creditor.
Yeah.
So cash, and of course, silver. I like junk silver, which are the pre-1964 half dollars, quarters, and dimes. Those are going to be very spendable. And if you can afford it, some gold. So, and I guess, and finally, you need something to protect all that with.
Right.
And making this movie puts me on one of the lists. Of course, I'm on a lot of the list already. I'm pro-life. I'm a Christian. I do carry at all times, in case anybody's interested in taking a shot at me.
Most of us around SkyWatchTV do, so
when they come after me, it's going to be a gunfight, not just a shooting. And people need to have the ability to protect themselves. And of course, I'm a big Second Amendment. In fact, my movie talks a lot about the UN coming in and in disarming you. And that is already been signed by John Kerry, the Secretary of State. He illegally signed a treaty at the UN that authorizes them to come in an emergency and disarm you and me and American people. Now, we're in Missouri. I think you guys are not going to go down easy.
Not this part of Missouri anyway.
Yeah.
Can't speak for St. Louis and Kansas City, but not this part of Missouri. I think a lot of Americans are still in a belief bubble that it can't happen here. This is still the land of the free and the home of the brave. In the course of making the film and researching the film, how far removed from reality did you find most Americans are from the situation?
It's funny. We used Hollywood actors. Diane Ladd, 4-time Academy Award nominee. In fact, she was at the Academy Awards a few weeks ago for the movie Joy. And she was nominated for her 4th time as the Best Supporting Actress. So I had these Hollywood stars that I was working with making this movie who were, for the most part, completely unfamiliar with this concept. Mm-hmm. And so it was neat. I was actually able to interact with the actors in creating the movie and watch them wake up and kind of come to Jesus, if you will, mm-hmm. on what's really going on out there. So I had kind of a microcosm of how people think. And of course, I've been a truth teller all my life. It's something that I pursue with a passion. And people, why would you put yourself at risk at making a movie that's, that exposes the power in this country? My life is in the hands of my Creator, and He'll determine when it's going to be called. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, I'm committed to telling the truth to people, especially when a warning like this can be so effective in the lives of so many people in our country. Right. I'll tell you a little side note. One of the questions we deal with in the movie is, are soldiers, American soldiers that are active duty, they're going to be ordered to fire on American citizens. They're mm-hmm. going to be ordered to take weapons away and violate the Second Amendment rights for their citizenry. Will those soldiers follow orders that are unconstitutional? Mm. And we actually depict this scenario. I want 1 million soldiers to watch my movie because they're going to be able to see that they don't have to obey orders that are unconstitutional. And if we can educate, not just educate, but give them the experience of thinking through this before they're actually ordered to do it, we can save millions of lives and give these soldiers the confidence to do the right thing when they're ordered to do the wrong thing.
It's a compelling film. We look forward to seeing it in the theaters. Keep watch for listings near you. May 13th is the official opening of the film AmeriGEDDON. The producer and writer, Gary Heavin. Gary, honored to meet you, sir.
Thank you, Derek.
And we wish the best of success of this film. And we thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.